The marriage of Roman and Victoria looked like a fairy tale until the day the scam collapsed. He organized a divorce party with cake, champagne, and everything, as if he released it was a triumph. Her sister shouted to the microphone, celebrating the liberation of that excellent weight, while her lover, Sonia, was already planning reforms in her house. With a theatrical gesture, Roman delivered the roles. "Consider this your diploma for a new life, dear." She smiled, signed and, in the face of 30 witnesses, sealed her own mistake. Only the next day, when his card was refused at the coffee, he understood the size of the disaster. A victory call echoed as a sentence. "Remember that prenuptial contract you hid 5 years ago?" Leonid Arkadyevitch's office smelled of aged leather and expensive brandy, the same aroma as Victoria had known since childhood. Sitting behind an imposing mahogany table, his father flipped documents as Moscow's lights blinked beyond the window. "Sit down," he said, indicating the armchair ahead. "We need to talk." She settled, crossing her legs, her head still spinning between dress tests, menus, and the last preparations for the wedding, scheduled for 3 weeks. "Again about the guest list?" he asked, already predicting the discussion. "No," said his father, sliding a folder on the table. "This is more important than any guest." Inside, a prenuptial contract. Victoria laughed, incredulously. "Really? Me and Roman?" "Precisely for this reason," said Leonid, serving as another sip of brandy. "He is intelligent. Too much. Men like him see opportunities where others see romance." "Father, this is ridiculous. We love each other. Love is beautiful. But the restaurant business? This is money. A lot of money." The father opened the folder. "Here is all resolved. Prenuptial contract and a corporate deal for your restaurant. If he asks divorce, 65% of the venture are automatically with you." "Did you lose your head?" She reacted, looking at her father as if he were a fossil of another era. "Roman carries me in his arms and calls me queen, then sign," Leonid insisted, with a look that mixed determination and concern. "The lawyers have already checked. There are no gaps." "Okay, father. I sign your roles," she replied, resigned, just to end the conversation. But the shadow of doubt in the father's eyes did not disappear. On the morning of the wedding, Victoria woke up with the buzz of her friends in the corridor. As they adjusted the dress and bouquet, she stretched her hand to the drawer where she had stored the paste the night before. "Disappeared. Roman," he called, hurrying. "Did you get some documents from my nightstand?" He, impeccable in tuxedo, adjusted his tie in front of the mirror, the perfect groom portrait, with rehearsed smile and hair in place. "What documents, my love?" "The folder with the contract." Roman turned, held his hands and smiled. "Forget these formalities today. We have eternity ahead to solve details." And he sealed the lie with a kiss on the forehead. "Now go. The makeup artist is waiting. In 4 hours, you will be my wife forever." Victory nodded, without realizing that that word eternity would become a cruel irony. The first months of marriage flew in a mist of happiness and work. Victoria's restaurant debuts in 6 months, and the days were a rush between kitchen, suppliers, and spreadsheets. "Maxim, let's review the fall menu," she said, spreading leaves on the deposit table. "The pumpkin cream is. The soup too, but we exchanged the spices. And this duck with olive, very complex to our team." The chef, a 50-year-old man and looked tired, and Seattled, noting. Working with Victory was easy. She understood ingredients, knew every detail of the products. "And the rabbit?" suggested Maxim. "With rosemary and baked vegetables." "Perfect. Just not." "Forget it, our contract is with the Petrov farm. We only bought them." She kept meticulous notebooks, recipes, contracts, decoration ideas, the wine list, and kept them under the key in the office. Romance of her analog bureaucracy while posing for interviews such as the genius of Muscovite gastronomy, the visionary who won the city. Elegant accessory of his success. "Don't be angry," he said at night. "The press likes lonely heroes. But we know who really makes it all happen." She smiles, swallowing pride, and was going to check the new meat contracts. The rain hit the penthouse windows in Moscow City while Victoria adjusted the orchids in the threshold. "Down," The city drowned in a grey mist. "Okay," Roman announced, buttoning his coat. "The car is waiting." The Novodevichy Cemetery welcomed them with a moist cold. He carried a bouquet of white roses, always white roses, and, in the face of the grave, took over the rehearsed pose of his mourned son. "Sorry we don't see more spatter. You know how it is, the business, the restaurant." Distributed the flowers with theatrical accuracy. "She would be proud of what we built together." Together. Victoria watched him as if he first saw him, impeccable hair even in the rain, the calculated gestures, the pain firmed in the voice. My God, he thought, is our marriage just another project of him? The most ambitious of all? "Come on," Roman said, taking her by the arm. "If we stay longer, the driver will sink into the mud." As soon as he got into the car, he dived on his cell phone, smiling at some message. Victoria turned her face to the window, letting the rain be based. At home, Roman threw a wet coat on the entrance floor and disappeared into the office. "I have urgent calls," he shot over his shoulder. Victoria was alone in the huge room, feeling the cold of the marble under her barefoot. The storm inside her grew, but her face remained serene. She had learned to master the emotions in that dance. The next morning, he woke up before the usual. Roman still slept, stretched on his side of the bed. He dressed in silence and left. The wholesale market received it with its chaotic rhythm, porters pushing carts of vegetables, the fresh smell of herbs and fish. Maria Safonova, her longtime supplier, waved her boxing. "Vicua, what a surprise anytime soon. I decided to come in person today," answered Victoria. "How are the new cheeses?" They were involved in discussions about textures, healing times, storage conditions. Maria cut a slice of a 4-month ripening Tuscan picorine. "Try." Victoria closed her eyes as she tasted. £20 to start. Maria shook her head, admired. "You have a gift with food. Your husband. He doesn't understand how you." The words hurt. "When it comes, it only talks about costs. When you come, we talk about creating something special." Victoria swallowed hard, without trusting her own voice. He came home near lunch. Roman's car was not in the garage, strange, because on Saturdays he always stayed. His perfume still hovered in the air. About the granite counter, his cell phone vibrated. She stretched her hand to silence the device and froze. On the screen, a preview of message on Telegram. "Sonia, love, yesterday was an amazing night. When we can escape again to that hotel in Suzdal?" The phone slipped from his hands, beating deaf into the marble. As he caught him, he saw more notifications. "Sonia, how lucky your naive wife still doesn't suspect anything. Well, you got rid of that ridiculous prenuptial contract. In fact, the lawyer said the divorce strategy is better to discuss personally." Victoria held the device hard as the world collapsed in silence. Victoria's body slowly sank into the bank. From the kitchen island, as if each bone had been replaced by lead. The mind, however, was crystal clear, a cold, almost supernatural clarity. No scream, no tears. Just the sharp certainty that he had lived with blindfolded, while Roman's phone continued to vibrate on the bench, betraying it with each message. With firm hands, she returned him to the exact place, with the screen facing the same angle. Then he went to the room, lay on the duvet without messing up the covers and closed his eyes. Think. It was all you could do. Roman came to dusk, euphoric, with the smell of a perfume that was not impregnated with her shirt. "Sorry, honey," the business extended. "Let's have dinner. I have no hunger." Head throbbing. Her voice was honey, her fingers sliding down her hair like a gesture of affection, not the caress of a stranger. Victory forced himself to remain still, while the skin burned under that touch. "Rest. I'm going to work in the office." At midnight, the house plunged into silence. She waited for the track of light under the office door disappearing, told 30 minutes in the dark, feeling her heart beat like a Swiss watch. Then, barefoot, it slid down the hallway. Roman's office was his sanctuary. She barely entered there, the heavy curtains always closed, the flawless table, everything in her place. Victoria lit the table lamp and began to turn everything with the accuracy of a surgeon. The first hour yielded nothing: restaurant contracts, ordinary bank statements, bland papers. It's time to give up, she thought, when she noticed that the lower drawer of the file slid deeper than the others. A hidden mechanism. Behind a fake panel, a pile of folders. The first contained the prenuptial agreement. The same. What was disappeared on the morning of the wedding, signed only by Roman, the line where his signature should be empty. Why keep it? The answer came in the next folder, extracts of accounts she has never seen. Fiscal paradises in Cyprus, properties in Spain, participation in ghost companies. And finally, a preliminary offer of a federal restaurant network. To buy your part, Victory. An amount with 6 zeros. Dated a month ago. She took the cell phone, activated the silent mode and began to photograph. Page by page. Number per number. The fingers did not train. The heat that previously warmed it, the illusion of a home, of a love, had dissipated, replaced by a cold, almost mathematical calculation. After returning everything to the place, he left the office as quietly as he had entered. In bed, Roman slept on her back, rolling softly. Beautiful. Successful. An unknown. Victoria lay beside her, pulled the blanket to her chin and closed her eyes. Tomorrow would be another day. And for the first time in years, she had a plan. The next night, the restaurant closed the doors, the team dispersed, and only Maxim stayed in the kitchen, giving stocks. Victoria remained in the empty hall, her eyes fixed on the tables put perfectly. Tomorrow, that space would echo laughs again and the bowl of cups. Viktorovna. Maxim emerged from the kitchen, wiping his hands on the cloth. Why is still here so late? I'm thinking. He approached, sat in the next chair. Smelled of garlic and rosemary. Do you know something? He paused, choosing the words. Everyone here knows who is the true chef of this place. And it's not him. His eyes met. If you need something, documents, testimonials, the team is with you. I speak like an old friend who has seen everything. For the first time in days, something warmed his chest. It was not alone. Thank you, Maxim. Stop silly. He got up, patted his shoulder. Go home. Tomorrow the madness starts over. The next 6 months were a meticulous choreography. On the surface, nothing changed. Roman shone in council meetings, Iria smiled and announcing. But now she photographed every slide of her performances, recorded her great promises to investors in audio. The idea of the seasonal menu was my epiphany, he said at a business lunch. Of course, Vicar gave me an invaluable help in the execution. Invaluable help. Victoria made another recording under the table. Its proof gallery grew. In the family dinners, Roman's sister Rita did not get tired of praising her brother's entrepreneur genius. You were lucky to marry a visionary, he said, serving as a salad. Not everyone has a chance to be next to a brilliant mind. Victoria smiled, thanked him. The grateful wife's mask was impeccable. It was at a sector conference that he met Elizaveta Sergeevna, an investor with 2 decades of experience in gastronomy. Silver hair, discreet elegance, sharp look. After a panel discussion, they exchanged words with the coffee. Your approach to seasonal updates denotes a rare conceptual maturity, noted Elizaveta. And the idea of wines in harmony with each dish, this is psychology applied to the taste. Victoria almost dropped the cup. Someone saw. Someone understood. They began to meet monthly, supposedly for market analysis. Elizaveta spoke of trends, victory, plans. In the third meeting, the investor was straightforward. You have the minds of a real restaurant owners. If one day decides to fly alone, look for me. The financing, we solve. Victoria kept the card in a secret compartment of the wallet. To the case. Meanwhile, a silent revolution took shape behind the scenes of the restaurant. Maxim began to write down a notebook every time Roman showed culinary ignorance. Natalia, sommelier, recorded her absurd statements about wines. The waiters marked the impossible promises they made to customers without consulting the team. We are documenting everything, Maxim said once, showing the full pages. Dates, times, witnesses. As a police process, only about food. Victoria leafed the notes. The portrait was undeniable. The man who sold himself as a gastronomic genius could not distinguish Basil Cumin. At the same time, she was with Andrei Borisovic, the lawyer nominated by her father, a grey-haired man, short lines and a chess way. We recorded brands. Everything. Name, logo, slogan. But the restaurant is in your name. Intellectual property is another story. Let's shield your recipes, techniques, service patterns. All like your know-how. They worked at night, sometimes in their office, sometimes at home, the days when Roman traveled to work. In spring, Vittoria had a folder with records in the INPI, license contracts, and minutes of transfer of rights. Now he will not be able to use either the name, nor the conception without his permission, summarized Andrei. This legally clarifies the issue of authorship. At the end of the season, a strange invitation arrived. A cream envelope, without sender, with a card inside, Saturday, 20H, Our Country House. No specified reason. Victory reread it several times. Roman was not the spontaneous type, every step of his was calculated. Something was being armed. On Saturday, she chose a new, elegant, and severe dress. He rehearsed the smile in the mirror. Be ready for anything. The country house received it with lights and music. A dozen cars in the parking lot. Recognized the vehicles of friends of Roman, partners, even. That all his corporate accounts, those he used to finance dinners with Sonia and early summer gifts, were frozen by court order. That the 65% of the company's shares, which he thought was untouchable, were already in the process of transferring to his name, thanks to Clause 7.3 of the prenuptial contract he had insisted on including years ago. That the notification of Federa revenue about the change in the company's registration would arrive in your email before lunch, sealing your destination as a minority stock. She imagined his face as he received the call from the bank manager, the pasty voice of professional excuses. We regret inform, Mr. Romanov, but by court order. He imagined the scene in the lawyer's office, where he would be received with tense smiles and thick pastes on the table, each page a surgical blow, each paragraph a knife he himself claimed and now he saw against himself. The same documents that he signed with arrogance, certified that Victoria would never dare to use them. The same contracts he reviewed with Sonia next door, laughing at how emotional women lost everything in divorces. The phone vibrated again. This time, it was a message from Andrei Borisovic, dry and efficient as a military report, first phase completed. He just called the office. Do you want me to serve the next? Victoria typed the answer without hesitation. No. Let him sweat a little. She got up, went to the window and watched the rain beating the glasses. Grey Moscow, indifferent to human dramas. In the reflection, he saw his own face, calm oligarch, not the betrayed wife. The lips painted dark red, the hair stuck accurately, the fingers that did not train while holding the cup. Roman expected tears. Roman expected her to drown in champagne and humiliation. Instead, he would find an opponent who played for the same manual as he, mercilessly, unscrupulously, with each movement calculated to maximize the damage. The cell phone rang. Unknown number. She answered with a hello. Neutral, almost bored. Vika. Roman's voice sounded strangled, as if the words were going to leave. What are you doing? Correcting a strategic error, she replied, flipping through a dossier on the table. You always said you admired women who didn't let themselves manipulate. Well, this is illegal. You can't. You can, interrupted it, smooth. The whole process is supported by clauses you have written yourself. Or did you forget that you were the one who insisted on those heritage protection in case of marriage dissolution? A calculated pause. Irony is delicious, don't you think? On the other side, silence. She could almost see the vein in her throbbing temple, the nodes of the white fingers so tight around the phone. You'll regret it, he finally spat. Victoria smiled. Not the rehearsed smile in the mirror on Friday, but something colder, more definitive. Roman, he said, as if explaining something to a stubborn child, you have already regretted. Just don't know that yet. He hung up before he could answer. On the screen, a new notification, the updated bank statement, with the first deposits of the actions transferred. She held the phone against her chest for a moment, closed her eyes. It was not a victory yet. It was just the first movement in a board where, for the first time in years, she dictated the rules. When he opened his eyes, the rain had stopped. Vittoria put on the coat, took the folder with the documents and left. There were scheduled meetings, lawyers to instruct, allies to mobilize. And, above all, a company to resume, stone by stone, action by action, until the empire that Roman had built with lies nothing but rubble with his name recorded. The contract he had lost 5 years earlier was now back in his hands. Before noon, the other gears of the plan came into action. Rospatent confirmed the registration of the brands on its behalf. The commercial secrets of recipes, technical tokens, and wine harmonizations all formalized as your intellectual property. License agreements came into force. Now, not even the name Roman could be used without his permission. The phone exploded in a call symphony. Elizaveta Sergeevna, that lady of F. Era of the gastronomic branch, capable of reducing an investor to a trembling freshman with a single look. Honey, congratulations. Our class is already rubbing your hands. 3 groups of investors are ready to buy your slice. How is it? Oh, yes, the former president. I think he will sell faster than a waiter opens a bottle of champagne. And you, of course, will be in doubt. Of course. For the same price. Of war, we have a peacock that exploded in feathers. Vittoria laughed. For the first time in 3 days. Elegant revenge is one where enemies not only pay for their triumph, but they still do with a smile on their face. At noon, the restaurant was crowded. Even Petrovich, the security guard, appeared on her day off, and the young waitress read she ran from the manicure, shaking her nails still damp. Friends, Vittoria climbed into a box of wine so that everyone saw her. From today, I'm the only owner of this circus, that is, of this restaurant. The applause drowned out the rest. Natalia Samelli wiped her eyes with a polishing glass napkin. Petrovich shouted something about justice finally done, but no one heard. And you'll read it. Do you still have to pretend admiration for Mr. Peacock's genius ideas? Mr. Peacock will need to get another perch, Victoria smiled. Your part was bought. The accounts, blocked. The crown, confiscated. They can take a deep breath and stop applauding his innovations, such as serving Telanka in cups of tea. Maxim hit the frying pan on the counter so hard that he almost dropped her. I remember as if it were today. Deconstruction of Russian cuisine, he said. I said, Roman Igorevich, this is just a small portion 3 times the price. And he, Maxim, you don't understand haute cuisine. An hour later, the hero himself made his entrance. He slid down the hall with the posture of a Roman emperor inspecting his achievements. The tie, erected as a flag in parade, the shoes, so polished that they could blind. Maxim, checkmate and deliver to victory. I'm in my office. The chef straightened his meter and 90, crossed his arms like a sumo fighter before the fight. For no, Roman Igorevich. First, the flesh has already been checked when you still slept hugging a pillow. Second, you have no more office here. Unless you want the pantry, but Petrovich keeps the brooms there. Third, Vittoria Leonidovna awaits you in hers. If you have courage. Roman's face went through all the phases of denial. Are you kidding? This misunderstanding will end in court. It looks like it's over, Maxim pointed to the 2nd floor. On the left. There is a new plate, with gold letters. It won't make a mistake. Vittoria spread the documents on the table like a croupier distributing letters. Roman entered without beating old habits, new realities. We need to talk. I understand that you are upset. Sent, Rome. No ceremony. The chairs have not yet been confiscated. He sank on the couch, throwing one leg over the other. The posture of those who are still on the throne, even with the crown thrown into some ditch. Enough theater, Vika. This restaurant is my son. My creation. Your creation? She opened the first folder. Here is your creation, dear. The business plan I wrote in 3 months while you copied in 3 hours. Look, even my typing errors you have preserved. Restoran with the moving fidelity. But the investors were mine. Oh yes. Second folder. Your investors, my projections, my guarantees. Here is the transcription of that meeting. Let me quote Roman Igorevich, "Can we hear your wife? Does she seem to understand more of numbers? Remember how you blushed? Suppliers. Suppliers were mine." The third folder flew on the table. Maria Safonova sent. Warning, if this turkey calls hard cheese parmesan once again, she personally explains the difference. With a roll of mass. Roman's phone vibrated like a caged animal. He ripped him out of his pocket, looking at the screen. "Hello, Sonia. What do I mean I'm leaving? Where? Dubai. That Ahmet." Victory sipped his tea as he listened to the details of how his lover was running with a prince of oil. "Don't stay like this," she comforted when he hung up. "Women are like bus. Lost one, another comes. With air conditioning and leather seats." Roman was paralyzed. Even the gel in her hair seemed to have discouraged, withering in defeat. "But I have good news for you." Victoria slid the last asset, a cream envelope, identical to the invitation to that infernal party. "Work." "What?" "Work. That thing you arrive in the morning, does something useful and get money for it. Revolutionary concept, I know. You're offering me a job at my restaurant. In the restaurant you, by mistake, thought it was yours. Position, management assistant. Chief, Maxim. Functions, learning to differentiate dill. Salary. Let's say it gives bread with butter. This is humiliating. And having a farewell party with cake, isn't it? Finally free, how about? Signs there. Rent does not pay alone. Sonia went to Dubai, the soup is frozen. Or has a plan B. Maybe Rita welcomes you. Roman grabbed the pen like a castaway to a piece of wood. The signature came out crooked, but fast. "Attention, internal promotions," announced Victoria at the general meeting. "Maxim, take it." The folder flew straight into the hands of the astonished chef. "What is that?" 5% of the restaurant. For not having strangled Roman when he insisted on putting ketchup in sauce bayonnaise. "But I didn't do it for money, I did it for principles." Exactly why it's winning. Natala became a beverage director. Now you can send the idiots who ask for Coke with foie gras to hell. Officially. Petrovich was promoted to head of security. To make sure no playboy get in here again. And the young woman Reeds became manager of manager. Just do the manicure on weekends, combined. We always knew who the real boss was. Maxim wiped a tear. Now it's official. And beautiful. A week later, Roman began his first round. The uniform served him like a glove if we ignored the fact that he looked like a penguin on a beach. Good, novice, Maxim was relentless. We started with the basics. Left fork, knife on the right. Not the opposite. Note. Great. At the end of the year, maybe we reached the napkins. The first client to recognize him almost dropped the glass. "Roman Igorevich. You. And who else would it be?" The former Vile adjusted the cutlery with dignity. "I'm relearning the business from the base." "Ah," the man nodded, diving quickly into the menu. At the end of the week, Roman had learned. A. Do not confuse fish forks with meat forks. B. Do not steal snacks from customer dishes. And, most importantly, C. That the fall may be long, but the background always arrives. Do not tell your worldview to everyone who was willing to hear. "Progress," said Maxim on the phone, with a pride that only practice justifies. Yesterday, it opened a bottle of wine correctly. Well, he first tried to pull the cork with his teeth but that we attribute to post-traumatic stress, it was justified, as if humility were an accessory that could take and put it. 6 months later, the news came, an indication to the Toit Award for Sustainable Development. The letter mentioned the program created by Victoria Volkova, owner of the restaurant. For the ceremony, she took Maxim. "I'm going to tuxedo?" he asked, already imagining the glow of the lamps. And Natalia, with the same excitement as those who discover a new filter, "Can I take selfie stick?" Meanwhile, behind the scenes the restaurant, Roman learned the art of flambe under the attentive look of sous chef. "It doesn't fear the fire," the man shouted, as if talking about a meek dog. "He's your ally. Easy for you to say, Roman grumbled, retreating from the flames. Your eyebrows are not drawn to the pencil. At the party, Elizaveta Sergeyevna raised her cup to justice that, although sometimes she arrives in strange packaging, always arrives. And Maxim, already with an extra glass, stumbled upon the words, "Some peacocks finally learned to be chickens. I mean, to put eggs. To bring results." The public laughed, because everyone understood. Even those who didn't want to. At the office, after the ceremony, Victoria revised the security cameras. On the screen, Roman rubbed glasses with almost religious dedication, while Natalia corrected her movements. No, no, no. In circles. This is not a halterophilia, Roman Igorevich. Victoria smiled. Revenge, after all, was a plate that was cold, but when well seasoned, it could come with a touch of pepper and a poetic Justice Garrison. The cell phone vibrated. A photo of the ceremony, the true team of the restaurant, united, with over 1,000 likes. She leaned back in her chair, reflecting. Did you know what was the secret of a good comedy? That, in the end, the good overcomes evil. And evil learns to differentiate the fork from oysters from the snail fork. Downstairs, between pans and bottles, Roman discovered another fundamental truth. A Sancerre was not just a white wine, and a Chablis was not just that sour taste that he had confused in the first month. From the beginning. Always from the beginning.